let's head back down and talk about the other part of suspension. Some of the other lingering questions that I think people probably have. Go through this goddamn huge puddle. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. Okay. Feels like wading through a river. I'm such a princess. All right, let's head back down and talk about how you might want to and why you might want to improve your suspension. So let's just get out of this of the way. Your suspension is the number one thing that you can improve performance-wise on your bike, without a question. Aftermarket exhaust, nope. Sounds better, gives you a little bit more horsepower, but in terms of getting you around corners, nope. That'll be suspension. What else people do? Like little cosmetic things like fender eliminator and other stuff like that, bar end mirrors. All very good things you should do to your bike. But I would say the first major thing, the first thing that actual costs, real money, would be replacing those springs and getting someone to either get better valves for your suspension or adjusting them if you have adjustable suspension. And I will talk on adjustable suspension in a little bit because it's something that's worth noting that a lot of people don't really know, and it's not a common thing that people talk about. So yeah, when you're talking about getting better suspension, there's two things you can do. The first is getting springs and getting it either, so resprung for your weight and getting it revalved for your particular riding style. So remember that. Valves is for your riding style, for how harsh or stiff the bike feels, and the springs are for your weight. Yeah? Okay, good. Now then, there's that, and then there's getting aftermarket suspension, replacing the entire shock and all of that. Here's something to consider. Those aftermarket shocks have a spring in them, but it might not be the spring for you. It might not be the spring for your weight. Those aftermarket shocks absolutely have better adjustability than what you probably currently have. But the thing to keep in mind is that's the one thing that they have over your normal suspension. The adjustability and the ability to change different things, individually or separately from that. So you might be able to, okay, what is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. Was not paying attention, just came out. I should have honked him. I should have given him a little honk. Little love honk. Alright. Catastrophe averted. When you get an adjustable suspension, it's just adjustable. It's not set up for you. It needs to be tinkered with and probably needs the proper springs for your weight. If you can get an aftermarket suspension that already has the springs at your rate, perfect. In fact, I would encourage you to check the stock springs on your current suspension, because if you're the right weight, they might have set it up perfectly for you. And a lot of people, that's like 160, 180, that range is what they kind of set up for most stock suspension. So check that first, because you might be lucky and have the proper suspension already dialed in, which would save you quite a bit. You can go directly to adjusting your valves to heart's content. So one other thing to keep in mind is a lot of stock suspension, in fact, just like this Street Triple R for that matter. The Street Triple R, it was advertised as having adjustable suspension, which it does. You can turn little knobs and make things happen. But the thing that they don't tell you is the valves inside there have a very limited range of adjustability. They can change maybe 3%, plus or minus, to your adjusted stock settings. That's not very much. It's a lot less than you think it is. When people talk about getting revalved, what they're talking about is getting valves with significantly more adjustability, like 200% from what your settings are in the center. That is a lot of adjustability. So you could be cranking it all over to the left and all over to the right on your stock suspension, and it would barely have a difference. I mean, if you knew exactly what you wanted, then perfect, you could do that, but the tendency for it to be close to what you need is very slim, actually. So the next thing to consider is that this is why I would always recommend going to a shop and just putting the parts in to get it resprung and revalved. Because what they can do is they can take your plain old, normal stock suspension, the one that came from the factory. You don't have to spend the money to get an entirely new fork swap, or you don't have to get, like a different adjustable aftermarket Öhlins, like nice rear shock or anything like that. What they can do is you can just have them put in the proper spring and the proper valving settings kind of hard-coded into your bike, because think about it. The bike should be tailored to you and your riding style. So you're probably not going to change weight that much, and you probably have a certain style of riding that you like to do. I like to do canyon carving. I'm doing this as a very, very, very leisurely pace right now. But essentially, you have a style of riding that you do 90% of the time. So you should get the settings that are set for 90% of the time, and you don't have to, change the adjustment after that. It's just taken care of. And, you don't have to spend all that extra money on a additional suspension, which is wonderful. Think about all that you can go ahead and you can get your fancy exhaust, all that other stuff you want. Oh, big puddle. Big puddle. Let's cut across this, right here. I'm such a princess. I hate puddles. It gets my bike so dirty. Okay. So, if you do that, you're going to be in a significantly... puddle and... Okay. We just went over it. Yep. Dang it. Okay. Yeah, you can just get the that much better suspension for your stock bike, and you will be so much happier. I mean, I recently got this bike, which already has pretty great suspension set up stock, but I got it set up for my riding style, and it's hard to describe in words how much better it is. It's truly incredible, and I encourage you to think like, so it's like boring. Like, the only reason you can even tell that it was changed at all is because there's a little sticker on the outside. Well, I paid close to $1,000 for a sticker to get it, all this work done to it. Well, but I'm telling you, that is a worthwhile $1,000. Oh my gosh. Biggest difference I can possibly imagine in terms of how it rides. And honestly, that's why you got the bike, because you like the feeling of how it rides. So, continue that mindset and enjoy it. Oh wait, You're still here. Well, in that case, how about we just do some canyon running on this lovely trip. I'll shut up and we can enjoy the beautiful view that is Big Cottonwood Canyon here in Utah. Oh boy. That was pretty shitty. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That classic Utah.